Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly Jones Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this cute pendant. I've put a list of everything you'll need in the description below, along with all my usual links, so just let's get to it. You need 0.8mm wire, that's 20 gauge. I've cut two lengths at 12 inches, that's 30 centimetres. You'll need 0.315mm weaving wire. I've wound mine onto a bobbin. This is a Bobeeze bobbin by Beadsmith. If you don't have one of these, don't worry. I just like using one of these. It just stops all the wire from flailing about. So you just reel the wire off, and that sits down by your side. So to get started, you just reel the wire onto the bobbin. So there you go. I'm using a little moon-shaped stone. So if this was a circle, it would be 30mm, and the widest part here is 10mm. Tools, I've got my pliers, round nose pliers, wire cutters, and I've got nylon pliers. Don't worry if you don't have nylon pliers. I just like having these handy for straightening wires and flattening weave. Cut your wires to the lengths that I have, and we're going to start 5 inches from the beginning of the wire. So that's 12.5, 13 centimetres. So we're going to weave across these two wires, and you can do whatever weave you like. So we'll go 3 wraps around the bottom wire just to join. So we'll wrap around both wires twice, come up between those two wires, and then we'll go once around the top wire and once around the bottom wire, and that's our repeat. Wrap around both wires twice, come up between those two wires, once around the top wire and once around the bottom wire. And we'll keep repeating that weave. So I've kept repeating that weave and keep pushing it together as you go to keep it nice and tidy. The way this is going to work is, get your moon, hold on a minute, I'm a bit close, get your moon whichever way you want it to be. And we're going to place the beginning of the weave here, so the wires come sticking out the front. Hold on. So I'm calling this the front. So we want these wires coming out the front, and we want the weave to start just part way back there, about halfway across. So then the weave is going to wrap over the moon to here, and that's how long your weave needs to be, so you can work out how many repeats you need from that. So holding it in place, so your weave starts behind the centre of the moon. Hold it nice and tight and bring the wire straight over and around the middle of the moon. And then as this weave goes across here to the bottom, we're going to open these wires so that it goes, I'll just do it rather than telling you what I'm doing. So we're going to part the wires. So as the weave comes over, need to make sure it's right over there. So it wraps around nice and tightly. So the wires part as they get to there. I need to add a few more repeats, just a bit more to get the weave to reach the end there. So I'm just adding a few weave repeats to that. It's a bit tricky in this position because you have to keep going around those front wires. The way I'm doing it is I go around, so I'm wrapping around them twice, and you have to keep bringing your wire to the front because I've got these two wires sticking up, so this is awkward. Then I go around again, then I want to go around the top one and then around the bottom wire. So when you've done enough repeats so that the weave is wrapped around your stone, and it comes to there, because it's awkward to take it any further, what we're going to do is we're going to keep these two wires coming forward and these two wires, pulling them so that it's nice and tight around the stone. We're going to bend them around the stone again. So we're going around the back, over the stone, back across the front. My stone has wriggled out. It'll all get easier in a minute, she says. And then, because we're going to tie those together in a bit when we come back, then these two wires again go across to the back and pressing them all tightly around the stone, bring them up the back again. So still keeping that pretty central on your stone, the wires go up the back. So if you turn to the back, I've parted these two middle wires a bit. We're going to take this tail end. I must put a reminder on the screen to leave the tail end a little bit long when you start weaving. I didn't know if I was going to use it or not, because I didn't know if I was going to add a new wire. So I've wrapped around this wire, and then I'm going to go around this wire. I'm going to go this way, and then I'm going to come back around this wire. So really I'm just wrapping around, which way am I going to go? I'm just wrapping around the wires too, just try and hold them together a bit better at the back. And the two wires here at the back make it a bit easier. So I'm just going to go around once more, only this time I'm going to have to post it through. So I'm going to post it behind the wires, and hopefully come up between those middle ones. I'll go around that bottom wire, post it over the top and hopefully come back up between those middle wires again. Tell you what you can do, take your stone out, because we're going to slide it back in a bit anyway. I'm going to go around and back up between the middle wires. Pop your stone back in. And I'm going to finish this with a few wraps around one of those middle wires there. And then I'm going to cut that tail end. That's just attached the wires together really. So you can do anything you want just to attach those wires together. So far we've got it wrapped around the middle. We've got 2 wires coming out the back and 2 wires coming out the front. It is quite tight, but it does still slide out. That's not secured whatsoever. So turning to the back, these wires that are going to the back, so we're leaving these alone for a bit that are at the, I'll call this inner scoop, the front, how awkward am I, and we're going to bring these ones over and this one over. My neighbour's having a bit of a sneezing fit, if you can hear. So those wires are reaching towards the edges of the moon. And holding that in place and holding your moon still, we're going to take these wires over the moon at the ends there, just so we can see what we've got and what's going on. Then we're going to turn back to the front, so these wires are coming straight up. So now we're going to take these wires and we're going to scoop them around to meet these wires at the front here. I want it to scoop around, not just bend around. So I'm bringing those 2 wires together, and I'm bringing these 2 wires together. Does that make sense? So starting at the wires at the top, I'm going to take this wire that's come from the back, so this wire, and I'm going to add coils to that wire. So I've just added a little bit, just a little bit on there. I'm going to slide that down. Which way am I holding it? This way. So I'm going to slide that down. So where it meets this wire is on the front, but my coils reach back a little bit. And then where the two wires meet, I'm now going to do that same weave that we did earlier across the two wires. So twice around both wires, come up between the two, and then we go around the top wire and around the bottom wire, and we repeat that. So I've been repeating that weave, and I appreciate that everybody's stones are all different sizes and slightly different shapes. So this weave needs to go over, sort of here on the stone, to the back, and we need to reach this wire here. So keep repeating that weave until your weave can reach these wires, and you need to keep pushing your weave down, squashing it together so it's all nice and tidy. So my weave reaches to that back wire there, and at this point I'm going to bend the wires around, and I'm going to take my weaving wire, I'm going to cut it leaving a little bit of length still on there, so about 10 inches. I'm going to wrap it around all of that, so that I'm attaching it down. Can't get in there. And my stone moved then, so you must make sure that your stone doesn't move. I'm going to move my stone a little bit just to get my wire through. So contradicting myself there, wasn't I? But we can move this side, you can't move the other side once that's in. So I'm just going to wrap around all three wires a couple of times. And then I'm going to finish that weave. We're coming up between those two, and I'm just going to wrap around that middle wire a couple of times. Push that down the best you can. So pop your stone in and make sure it's definitely central. Oh, that wire needs cutting there too, that tail end. So these two wires here, I'm just going to make a little bail. So we're just going to scoop it around, bring it back to meet itself. And my stone has slid out. That stone will hold as soon as we wrap around the other side. So I'm making a little bail here. So I think I'm actually going to attach to here. I was going to attach to here, but that makes the bail a bit of a tight loop. So I'm going to attach to here instead. So look at the front and have a look at the bail shape. And you kind of want it to look like this. And then we'll attach that there. But I'm not going to attach it just yet. I'm going to leave all this side for now and do the other side, so we make sure that the stone is nice and square in place. So looking at your wires, we want to bring these two together, so I've just turned it around, and we want them to meet here at the top of the stone. So that's my wire from earlier, from the front, and that's the wire that went around the moon corner, and we're going to weave them here as we've done for this side. So we're going to attach coils to the wire from the back, which is this wire. So take your weaving wire and add that little 5mm of coils on there. slide the coils all the way down, and we want where the two wires meet at the top of the stone, that's where we want the coils to come to. And then we're going to weave across the two wires, same weave as before, once around both wires. Once around the top wire, once around the bottom wire. So thanks for watching one of my videos, I really appreciate all you guys. Please mention me, a Kelly Jones design, and please don't show or share images of the back or in progress, as it gives all my little design secrets away. So thanks to everybody who already does mention me, I really appreciate it. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Keep pressing your weave together as you go. So I've kept repeating that weave. So now have a look at your stone and make sure that this middle band is nice and central. And then try and get this top weave now to be the same angle as the bottom weave. I'm going to have to move those wires out the way a bit, that's my veil. And then making sure your weave is all pressed together, we're going to take that weave over and around that top corner of the stone. I'm just bending my bail wires up here a bit so that they're not in the way. So then I'm going to take this weave around that corner there. And we want it to meet those wires at the back there. So have a look at it, try and ignore all this, and make sure that these two weaves are roughly the same sort of angle, and this is nice and central on the stone. So I think I'm going to cut off some tail ends just so we can see what's going on. So I'm going to cut this wire. Gracie snoring. I'm going to cut this wire. And this weave is a little bit too long, it needs to just come to those wires, so I'm going to undo a little bit of that weave. So I've undone some of that weave. I'm going to finish with a few wraps around one of the wires. Cut that weaving wire. I need to go around and press all my little cut ends down. But I'm going to finish off these wires around that back wire there. So making sure you've got a little gap there. Take you round those wires and just take those wires around, holding the weave in place the best you can. Just finish off those wires around those back wires. If you take them around a little bit, and then you can just check it over and make sure that the weave hasn't moved too much, mine just did. And then we can just pull them around and tighten it. And make sure the angle of the weaves is still right. And then we can tighten those wires into place around that back wire. I've secured them around, and then I squashed that weave a little bit because it had lifted away from the stone. So have a look and make sure it's all still pretty central looking. And then this bail, these bail wires, I'm going to finish them the same way as I finished these. I'm going to go around this wire. So you just want to make sure you've got a nice gap there. And then cut and wrap those wires around. I'm going to give myself a bit more wire this time, because my wire was a bit short. And then holding the bail so it doesn't move too much, we're going to take those wires around. Getting dark in here, I need to go and put the light on. Do you ever do that? You're sat there making something, you suddenly look around and you're sat in the darkness. So put your wires around loosely. Try not to let them cross over like mine have. Check the shape of the bail again from the front. So you've got to imagine it's going to hold your moon, so mine needs to be more at that angle. And then have a look and retighten. Tighten your wires. Secure your wires around that back wire. As you squeeze your wires into place here at the back, they may move, so keep checking on that front shape to make sure that hasn't moved too much out of place, and then carry on tightening around that back wire. So I forgot to mention we're going to need a jump ring around that bail there. So I've added my little jump ring to the top there. Now I just need to run and oxidise it. So there we have it, finished. I've oxidised mine. If you'd like help oxidising yours, I did a video on oxidising and aftercare. I'll put a link on the screen and in the description below. I've just noticed that middle weave there, it's actually turned around and I'm showing you the back of the weave, and I really like it. I think it looks really nice. I think I'm going to do that weave in future. But anyway, so thanks for watching, and I will see you all very soon. Bye for now.